Hello, 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 everybody. I am your androgynous android late night DJ, Nathan Blades, and this is the Neoncast on Twitch channel, bringing you, for the first time in quite a while, the tabletop RPG one-shot for y'all. Thank you, everybody, for being so patient while I did stuff like move house. But it is such a joy to be able to see all of you again and hang out with us with some storytelling. Today, we've got a more unusual tabletop RPG than our standard fare. We are going to be playing a session of Godkiller. We'll introduce the god first. Please, everybody, give a warm welcome to Rook.
Hello, everyone. I am Rook. I will be your god for the evening.
Marvelous. And what is a god without a god killer? This two-player or one GM, one-player RPG has on the other side of the coin the god killer. So please, everybody, give a warm welcome to Lola.
Hi, I am Lola, and yeah, I'm here to crack some concrete.
Yes. Rook, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Godkiller is as a tabletop RPG, so we have some groundwork going.
Yeah, of course. Godkiller is a tabletop role-playing game for two people, the God and the Godkiller, by Connie Chung, based on the Powered by the Apocalypse system, with a lot of tweaks to make sure that all players at the table have a hefty amount of narrative control. It's very fun. I don't have to roll any dice, which I am very excited for, and it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. Have either of you played Godkiller before?
No.
Marvelous. Hey, that's
What did you say?
there are so many games that on stream we have played for the first time, and it's the process of a learning experience and feeling the process out. So that is perfect. The energy of the channel. While I go and hold on, let the credits scroll so we can see all the bits and pieces that went into making this. To safety tools wise, or at least in terms of like content warnings, despite this being a killing of gods, I do not believe real world religion is any of a particular measure. Actually, excuse me, it's probably best to ask Rook, is there any kind of particular content warnings that you would like to highlight, if any?
Sure. I mean, no real world religions, just kind of like all the gods will be made up. Some warnings, of course, for we had a list of content warnings, I believe, somewhere. Mm-hmm. Hang on.
We have our little lines and veils doc if you need that.
Okay, we didn't write down anything specific, but the content warnings for kind of like general violence, grief, death of major characters, ? Also some kind of like minor content warnings for just kind of like the realities of real life vis-a-vis the environments.
Marvelous. Well, with that all out of the way, if you do need to go and take a break, please do. Protecting your own heart is very important. But with that, I will shut up and let these two wonderful storytellers bring you Godkiller through the cracks. There you
go. Godkiller. In front of you is a wall of concrete, ever shifting, ever moving. You felt it approach moments before it was upon you, and you see a cracked grey slate fist coming down towards you. What do you do?
I shift immediately, almost as if to like slide a little bit out of the way so it can come past me, and from my hip I cast my whip around it, as in so I take the whip from my hip and unfurl it in one smooth motion, so that as I have slid to the right of it, that whip will curl around the arm that's just come past, and I'll pull it down to the ground and
Excellent.
attempt to essentially return this concrete being of destruction, an angel of this god, back to the concrete from which it grew from. So,
Excellent.
gonna inflict violence, I guess.
Inflict violence. Perfect. So, when you inflict violence on someone or something, roll 2d6. Add 1 for each true statement. They wish you harm. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Are you desperate in this moment?
No, I think that it was expected, and whilst I'm a little tired from the trek in to the city, I knew what I was coming up against, or at least I had some inkling. This isn't my first rodeo, so no, I'm not desperate, but it is personal. In fact, everything about this is personal.
Perfect. Roll 2d6. Add 2.
So I got a 9 plus 2, so 11. An overkill.
An overkill. Unlike a lot of Powered by the Apocalypse games, rolling high is not necessarily something you want to do. So, on an overkill, you lose yourself to Righteous Fury. The GM will tell you the costs of your divinity.
Mm-hmm.
Describe to me what your Righteous Fury looks like.
I think it's as much as I was expecting it, and I move fast enough to get out of the way and retaliate. It's almost like this whole thing is an affront. This whole city and everything this god stands for has been encroaching on everything that is bright and green and beautiful and something that feeds us. And I think that encountering this initial conflict, knowing that it's going to be a fight every step of this stupid fucking city, I think I'm just filled with so much rage. So that kind of pulling the that arm and fist down kind of turns into, no, I am here to finish it, and I will destroy everything if I have to. For me, kind of pounding it back into the pavement.
You are the earth itself. You are leaf and flower, and you are root. Your power comes from deep within the ground, and from deep within the ground is where you try to return this angel. And as you pull it down, trying to smash it towards the earth itself, you feel the roots begin to claim you as you are stuck in place. So is it, but so are you. And as you kind of like pull it down towards you, you look into what, projecting sort of like a human nature onto this angel is where its face would be, and you just see nothing. A fully blank canvas, ripped of any individuality that nature would bring. What do you do next?
I think that... Is it just my feet, or am I just completely immobilized?
No. It's just your your feet are stuck into the ground. Like, think like if you were like walking through very thick mud.
Yeah.
But like magical mud. Mm-hmm. No one Google that, chat. It probably won't serve you well. But your feet are just kind of like stuck in place.
Okay. I think that I'll brush my hair out of the way, because I imagine it probably came forward over my face, and stroke the root that is along the side of well, it kind of is interwoven through the buttons of my shirt and is growing alongside and up through just the edge of my hair. And I'll just kind of stroke it and say, no, I'm calm. I know we have a job to do, and this is just another step. But to get there, we need to be able to move. We need to be able to go forward. So... I think I will take the whip and loose it from the creature, this angel, and take the rest, like take my hands now and then just continue to push it down to almost bury it, like break the concrete around it, bury it, and grow something around it to break it up. And
This sounds like you want to wield a power.
yeah, I want to basically make it part of the natural world, but in such a way that it doesn't choke.
Okay. So, have you done this specific act before and perfectly?
No.
Excellent. Do you think you've done it imperfectly before?
I think Eleanor has. I think this is,
Okay.
in terms of learning and growing things, and I think that this is something that they have done countless times in terms of getting the earth to grow, feeding it something and letting it grow, but doing it as part of an act that is somewhat violent, somewhat destructive at the same time. I think it seems slightly at odds with how it has been done before. So, not perfect in this case.
And are you desperate yet?
No. Not yet.
And I think for the third one, so whether or not you're close to a shrine, lair, or domain of the god you took this power from, I think usually you would be. You can feel divine strength beneath you, and it is blocked by concrete. So, roll 2d6 for me. You do not add anything.
Oh, I lost the dice. Hang on. That is a 3, so I don't achieve it.
A 3 total?
Yeah. What? I'm not adding anything. I think that I'm kind of attempting this, like having completely gone way over, and themselves realizing that this, like everything else, as they've got close to the city, is blocked in some way. Their connection to the earth is blocked in some way. And I think that it gives them pause for a second, and so they can't quite follow through with it.
As your power kind of begins to sputter, as you hesitate, the concrete doesn't start solid. Concrete starts liquid, and you see this being begin to liquefy and surge around you, wanting to swallow you whole, like its god has swallowed the land you are standing on. Would you like to push yourself to achieve the effect you are looking for before it can swallow you whole?
Yeah. Yes, I would.
The most reluctant yep
Yep.
she
Yep.
has ever
Yep.
seen.
I refuse. I refuse to be swallowed by this thing, because if I am, well, everything else will be.
What does it look like as you burn 40% of your vitality to achieve this effect?
I think that the vine that is growing through my hair, and, well, I guess you couldn't see it before, but it's now growing and taking over more of the skin across my face. And there are almost vines that are growing up my neck. It's almost as if this thing is burrowing deeper into me. And one of my eyes, the eye that's on that side, changes color as I'm giving myself over to more of this.
As the camera kind of like zooms into you and we see this effect kind of happening on your body, we see the same effect happening on this creature, and where the foliage begins to grow, moisture begins to leach out of the concrete until it's solid until it's brittle. And you can very easily, do what you wanted to do, and also kind of like break out of it to escape its clutch. It is not writhing. Imagine a creature writhing, but with no fluidity. So every time an aspect of it jerks, it just breaks and crumbles a little bit. It's shattering on the ground, covered in the foliage, but it's not quite dead yet. As from somewhere kind of like deep within the core, you hear not really a screech. It sounds like a screech, but layered over with the whir of machinery, the crackle of electricity, the kind of raw physics of bulldozers and cranes, as if it is screaming with the voice of the city. And kind of like around you, kind of like around this whole area, pillars of concrete begin to emerge from the ground as miniature versions of it kind of like begin to kind of like slough off it and rise up, ready to attack. One of them kind of like comes towards you much faster than the original angel itself. Kind of like they're not like human size. They're probably more like, actually no, they would be like, if you take like the average height person and you make them about 2 heads shorter.
Mm-hmm.
They're about there. I don't know what actual height that is, like, in real life, so we'll say, like, around there, like, whatever height your brain comes up with is fine. You kind of, like, see, like, 6 of these creatures, and one of them lunging for your throat. What do you do?
I think it's this kind of noise of frustration, and I kind of I retake out my whip, but I also take out the other, and it's kind of like a movement of unfurling them and whipping things away from me at the same time, and stepping backwards to place myself at a point where I have a good vision, a good kind of overlook of the area, so that there's nothing coming at my back, and everything is in front of me.
You can very easily do that, even without a roll. You are a Godkiller filled with divine might. You can easily kind of like create some distance to scope out the situation. And actually, like, while you do have this kind of like view on the situation, I will let you. I'll let you feel the situation out as you kind of like take in this kind of like this new these new additions to the fight, kind of like your environment and what you can do to win. So, when you try to feel out person, place, or thing, say what you want clarity about and answer one of the questions, and I will answer the other. So what are you looking for in this moment with this created space?
Does it feel like this is something that I need to do? Does it feel like crushing these things will get me any closer to the god? Or is this merely a distraction?
Which one of the questions do you want to answer? So for chat, the questions are: what feels welcoming on the surface, and what feels dark or unnerving when I peer deeper?
What feels welcoming on the surface? This fight, it's an invitation to be part of the city? Or... I think that's the answer. That's the question.
Yeah. In its way, by swallowing you whole, you will become part of the foundations of the city if you let it overwhelm you. And I think what feels dark or unnerving when you peer deeper is the gods you've known in the past. Their angels were a part of them. Like, they were heralds, they were wielders of divine might, much as you have become. They were a part of the ecosystem. As you feel the situation out, this is a distraction, and you realize that a god knows that an angel cannot stand up to a god killer. There is no way. You realize that this angel has been used as a sacrificial pawn, which no other god you've met before would dare even dream of. Followers, yes. Mortals, replaceable. Angels, not so much. What do you do next?
So they're breaking off parts of themselves to stop me here, or slow me down for some reason.
That's the vibe you get.
Right. I think... that I would like to... Having understood that, I think I would like to look further at the space around it. Is there a way around them? Is there possibly... We're now in this kind of concrete arena of sorts that has grown up with the pillars that these things have come from. Is it possible to get out of this space and further into the city and leave them behind, or indeed trap them in this arena that they have made with the roots that I have left behind?
You've seen the speed. You don't think you could outrun them. You get the sense that you've got three options. You could go up, above, outrun them, kind of like along the rooftops, You could go under through the earth, or you can just go through. There are paths forward. Not all of them require confronting these.
Mm-hmm.
The choice is yours, Godkiller.
I think I'm going to move forward as if to fight them and sweep some of them together to use them almost as, I know that they are heads shorter than a normal person, but still of a height that will bring me upwards. I'm going to use them as a stepping stone to get up and over.
Okay. I don't know what this would count as. I think it'd be really fun if you were tempting fate.
Tempting fate? What do you mean? I can't jump on people and then up to
Well, unless you've killed and eaten Mario recently, I don't think this is wielding a power.
No. It's not. It's not. So, yeah, I think that I'm, yeah.
Unless you want to unleash your divinity to do this.
No.
Okay.
No.
So, when you tempt fate with your actions, say what perilous feat you're trying to accomplish. I think you've done that. And roll 2d6. Add 1 for each true statement. A skilled ally is lending you a hand. There's an argument for this, but
I mean, are they an ally if they're also part of me?
are we not our own greatest allies or
Sure.
greatest enemies?
Sure. I mean, if you'll give it to me, I'll take it. Maybe.
I think it's funnier that way.
Yeah.
You have no other options.
That's not true, because I have 2 other options.
You're far from any god that wishes you harm.
That's also
Believe
not
me
true.
if I said yes, you are far from a god that wishes you harm.
Sure.
You shouldn't. It's not true.
No. I mean, if you were gonna say it, I'd take it, but I think it's just add 1.
Add 1.
Let's not over. Okay, so that's a 12. So, haha. I take them with me, apparently. So, I got a 12, so I did another overkill. So I triumph. I'm up, but I attract the attention of my enemies, and they react immediately. So how do they react?
I don't think you take any of the children with you. You triumph over this ordeal. You've cleared them. You are even far enough away that you have a good enough head start to outrun them, you think. You do attract the attention of your enemies, and you have one very powerful enemy in this place. As you soar up above, you have a really good view of the city. You see its skyline in its entirety. And in the center, where in a lot of cities might be like a town hall or like some other kind of structure of power, you see basically a cube. It's a very brutalist concrete building. And you immediately sense, as you soar over rooftops essentially, something powerful, something maybe not ancient, but something definitely divine is watching you. You feel their eyes burning through you, burning into your soul. And you are reminded of a time in the past where you were also under the gaze of divinity. flashback screen effects here. Kalanora, Kalanora, are you listening to me?
Yes, yes, I'm always listening. I promise.
You are sitting in probably like I think you were kind of like sitting kind of like in a clearing near like a field. Vegetable patches, staple crops, all within view, all within reach. And actually, because we started like straight into the action, why don't you take a moment to describe yourself?
So, in this flashback, an earlier, younger Kalanora, I think they have hair that is probably to their shoulders at this point, and there are streaks of green through it. I think that's unavoidable given their heritage, but they are a dark skinned person with like those streaks of green in their otherwise black hair, and they're wearing well, almost a shirt, a fitted shirt tucked into some relatively utilitarian trousers that are close fitting with pockets that are just the right like depth and size to be able to fit a trowel or two, and there are like scuffs and there's some dirt on them with some hide boots that are kind of wrapped around their feet, and they're sitting there with their hands in the dirt.
You are sat in front of a gorgeous man. Gold skin. Not any mortal skin tone. Gold. A bit like the metal. A bit like the fur of a lion. Kind of lounging in like a Greek style toga, you know the one. Like this man would be very comfortable in Hades. Like just kind of like lounging, just like showing off to literally no one, because no one else is with you. Just idly kind of like twirling his hands and kind of like letting vines kind of like grow up to meet him. Kalanora.
Yes.
There will come a time where I will need you to be in charge of this place. It is coming. I feel it in the earth. I feel it in the soil. I feel it in the roots. This is not the first time he has said this, but every other time, Lord Blasphemo, the hunger of Eden, is always slightly joking. And every other time he has said this, there's always like a 50% chance he's making fun of you. You're not entirely sure for what.
Mm-hmm.
It just is how he is. But this time he is strangely serious.
You always say that, but what do you mean?
Did you know that divinity can be ended?
I
Just like mortals. Just like the trees and the flowers and the roots.
How? What? Why? Why would one want to end it?
When you say how, there is a fleeting look on his face. I won't make you like. I mean, to be fair, there is no rolling for it. I will let you decide whether or not you catch it. But if you do, it looks. When you ask how, there's a look on his face, almost a little bit like pride.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you ask why, there is just a look of like annoyance.
Mm-hmm.
Always with the boring questions. Come now, Kellinora. Why would anyone want anything to end?
Because they want something different and something new.
Or Asmel gestures at the fields, at the plants. Sometimes you dig something up because you have something to harvest.
But that's... Huh. It's always that sits with Kalinora in the sense that... But you're harvesting because that is part of the cycle. Is the ending of divinity just part of another cycle? And what does that mean for there to be a cycle in which divinity ends and something new is introduced, which is just more or different?
Again, that look of pride on his face. Now that, my dear Kellinara, that is the question. We cut away from here for a moment. Tell me about one of your favorite places in this place. What does Kellinora remember most fondly?
I think it's times when Masmenhal's attention is not on them, and it's this, I think this little space that they have carved out in this vast area of fields and everything else. I think that there is a thicket almost, or like an area somewhat shaded that they have kind of been growing and trying. It's almost the place where they practice, where they're not directly in front of Baswell, or, well, yeah, they're directly in front of the parent, and just a space that they go to attempt to to grow the things that they've been shown how to, that they've where they're trying to put into practice things in this little space that is full of their successes and mistakes and the plants and the things that didn't quite turn out right but are beautiful because they aren't perfect. And it feels like a space that is away from it all and safe.
Of all the plants in this little space that's just yours, who is your favorite?
This little plant that does not grow straight, but has been
Mood.
around. Sorry? Yeah.
That's fine. Please carry on.
Does not grow straight. Is grown almost curving inwards, like one way and then the next, as it's wound its way up into the air. It's not the tallest plant here, and it's not the hardiest plant, but it is the most long-lived. It was an attempt that Kalanora had made and had kept feeding because they did not wish to fail so truly. So every kind of bend and twist was when the plant would have gone over, and Kel just fed the plant just a little bit more power to kind of re-straighten and continue to grow. And the leaves are slightly floppy, but still green, and the bud, or the buds on top and dotted around, are almost like slightly peeking open, but not open and not there yet. And I think that this is Cal's favorite because it's still here despite everything, and every time they've given so much to keeping it here, and almost it speaks to them of a sense of resilience, a sense of deciding to exist regardless of everything else. And that's why this plant is Kel's favorite.
We cut back to the conversation in the clearing between you and this god. Kalanora,
Yes.
pay attention.
Yes.
Stop drifting off.
Sorry. Yes.
Yes. Divinity is a concentration of power. And when a tree dies in a forest, when it falls over, it is taken over by fungi. It becomes home for the smaller creatures on the ground. It transforms. This transformation is part of life. It is part of death. And when things get stagnant, things rot, and not in a good way. Not in the way of the compost, but things rot and turn bad and sour and become useless. You cannot sow without reaping.
So this time of which you speak
Is approaching, my dear.
So what do I need to know before then?
I think you'll need to know everything. And we cut forward, however long, in between these 2 points. Tell me about your thicket after you have slain Lord Basfamel.
I think it was a hard thing to do. I mean, what student really wants to step out of a space of learning, because sometimes in itself it is...
Sorry, my thing went down. I don't know if I'm back yet.
See.
Okay. Thank you, disembodied voice of God that stream cannot hear. I didn't hear any of what you just said. So
Fine, I'll change it all now. Yeah, I won't change it all, to be honest. What I was saying is that I think that in the space of time between that conversation and the death, or guided death of Lord Basfamel, I think that the thicket the air around it has grown thorns. Thorns that do not nick me, but make it inhospitable to anyone else. It's not the kind of place that anyone could come and visit me in. It's not open, it is harder and crueler on the outside. And some of those plants have been pruned. And apart from the one in the center, only the successes have been kept. And the failures given over to compost to feed the rest, except for that one plant.
And
In the
that
center.
one plant in the center. Do you ever find comfort in it? Do you ever tend to it? Or is it left to its own devices?
I tend to it. I mean, I know that one must tend to one's heart to not, well, end up completely closed off.
When you do tend to it, your fingers brushing the stem, you hear a voice in your head, one you haven't heard in a very, very long time. The voice of your parent, or Baphomet, whispering, 6 heartbreaking words. As I do the meanest thing I've ever done in a game of tabletop. As you hear the words, "Thou shalt not touch beautiful things." When you violate the terms of a curse, await disaster in answer 1. So, what shatters beyond repair? What mutates beyond recognition? And what shifts beyond your reach?
I think that this little hardy plant, this beautiful thing, well, I guess it's not traditionally beautiful in that it is not a perfect thing. It is beautiful in its resilience and the care that went to keep it here, as well as its own strength. And I think that's what shatters. I think that from the ground up, it begins to blacken. And so the almost wavy stem begins to collapse down on itself. And I think in Kelinora's hands, it's almost like there's this horror that is taking over them, and they are like trying to like really lift it up or give it some power to not. Why is it dying? And I think that as it blackens and begins to die in that same way, and that blackening isn't just going upwards, it's also moving out from this space and attacking those perfect plants as well. This perfect space protected by this thicket of thorns. I think that in desperation, Kel takes this plant, almost cuts it off before that rot can fully take the entire plant, takes a bud and buries it buries the sharp end of it in their hand, almost to keep feeding it, to keep it part of it whole.
And what mutates beyond recognition is you, my dear. Because you are successful, you keep it alive, and you plant it within your soul. And what it will sprout, you will come to find out. And with that, you no longer suffer the curse, thou shalt not touch beautiful things. But in this moment, what beautiful things are there left to touch? And with that, we will go to our break.
Indeed we shall. Everybody take 5, stretch, rehydrate, and we'll see you on the other side. Farewell for now.